Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Mike Susko.
And I'm your forecaster, Jenna.
And Jordyn, we had some rain that pushed through earlier mid-week this week, even producing some heavy downpours at times for people in eastern Pennsylvania especially. Are we going to see any rain this weekend? Because we got a big weekend.
Actually, for our game day specifically, and the rest of our weekend, we're going to have a lot of sunshine and some clear weather with some fall temperatures. Not to give away the whole forecast, but a lot of sunshine this weekend.
All right. You know what? I like the sounds of that because we got sunshine just in time for the weekend. The rain we can hold off to the work week. And our Nature and the News stories will take us out of this world with NASA and their new spacesuits, but then we bring things back down to planet Earth with fall foliage and then a feature on the Pumpkin Festival here at Penn State. All that and more, but first, here's Nature and the News.
Negative effects of Cold War nuclear testing resides in Antarctica, while radiation continues to be released from the ice. Scientists have recently made an overwhelming discovery, revealing that man-made chlorine produced during the Cold War in the 1950s and 60s continues to be emitted at unusually high levels in certain areas of the ice. During Cold War testing, high concentrations of chlorine-36 were generated, which leads to the present findings of ice sheets releasing radioactive chlorine. This new surprising discovery helps scientists paint a new picture of the Earth and its climate history. Scientists will continue to focus on chlorine and see how it acts over a period of time in areas where snowfall is higher and compare it to the areas where snowfall is lower.
This past week, the country remembered the anniversary of Hurricane Michael, which made landfall in Florida near Mexico Beach just last year. The storm was the first Category 5 to make landfall in the United States since Hurricane Andrew struck South Florida back in 1992. Packing winds of 160 miles per hour and producing a storm surge of 14 feet at the highest points, Michael ripped buildings clear off their foundations and scattered debris everywhere. The storm was responsible for the loss of 43 lives, leaving a hole in the hearts of many others. A year later, communities have started to rebuild but still have a long way to go. Mexico Beach still doesn't have a bank, a gas station, or even a grocery store. Despite the challenges, though, since the storm, the community remains strong as they continue the process of rebuilding.
NASA has created an updated spacesuit with multitudes of improvements in mobility and accessibility. The new suit design was first released and shown this past Tuesday on October 15th. The proper name given to the suit is the Exploration Extravehicular Mobility Unit, otherwise known as the XEMU. The updated suit is designed to withstand minus 250 degree cooler temperatures as well as plus 250 degrees Fahrenheit and warmer temperatures in order to protect astronauts from extreme heat and cold. The new suit provides many features that were not previously included on past spacesuits. Astronauts can now bend down at the waist and touch the ground below them. Before, spacesuits did not allow this type of mobility to occur, including crossing arms and raising hands. One small step is no longer all that is able to be done with this newly designed spacesuit.
Now that we are in the middle of October, it means fall is officially in full swing. From apple picking, pumpkin carving, hay rides, and pumpkin spice and everything, people are making the best of this transition time from the warm summer to the cold winter, including watching the leaves on the trees turn into those stunning colors. Here in Pennsylvania, peak foliage usually happens around mid to end of October. Areas in the Northeast are already seeing high colors, while most of us are seeing moderate color this week, with the exception of some in extreme western Pennsylvania and southeastern Pennsylvania. As the temperatures drop, the food making process in the leaves slows down, causing the colors to change. With peak foliage just around the corner, there are only a few weeks left to see the stunning fall time tradition this year.
Good evening, I'm Jordyn Jenna here with your Central Pennsylvania forecast, and we're going to have a lot of sunshine this weekend along with those fall temperatures. Friday, we have some cooler air that's actually moving in from the north, wrapping around this high pressure system dominating our area. It'll feel a little bit cooler outside for your Friday, some partly cloudy skies. And for Saturday, we have some more clear weather outside, a little more sunshine peeking through with mostly sunny skies, and towards the west there's a little bit of a cold front extending from the north to the south, and that's actually going to die off as it gets closer to Pennsylvania. It'll be dry and sunny outside with another high pressure system moving in from the west. So that's something to remember for your Sunday as well. A lot more sunshine. 53 for your high on Friday. It'll be partly cloudy skies, and it'll be cool and clear. You're going to have an extra jacket on hand on your way to class, especially in the morning. Friday night, it'll be 36 degrees, and when we start our Saturday morning, it's going to feel pretty chilly outside. While you're tailgating, temperatures are going to reach near 60 degrees. A lot of sunshine throughout the day. Notice that 60 degrees is going to hit its high around 3 or 4 o'clock. 7:30, it's going to get a little chilly outside because after the sun sets, temperatures are going to go down. So during the game, you're going to want to have maybe some gloves, an extra hat, and coat on hand to keep you comfortable throughout the game. Here's for Sunday, we have a high of 65 degrees, a lot more sunshine in the area, and our temperatures are actually warming up a bit, jumping 5 degrees above average for this time of year. Up next, Christopher Tate has a feature for us on the Pumpkin Festival.
Fall is definitely in the air. The temperatures are starting to drop, the leaves are changing color, and Halloween is just around the corner. So that means it's time for, among other things, Penn State's 9th annual Arboretum Pumpkin Festival. I was curious to see the artistic talents of Center County's youth and adults, as well as learn more about how the Pennsylvania pumpkin crop is affected by regional weather. The annual Pumpkin Festival has become a staple at the Arboretum, bringing hundreds of folks from around central Pennsylvania together to celebrate the arriving fall season. This year's festival was highlighted by live music, a food court, activities for the young and young at heart.
I'll use my magic coin here. I'll wave it over your hand, sing those ancient words. Wingtip shoes, gone. Take a look.
And, of course, plenty of pumpkins. Sherry Edelson is the Director of Horticulture and Curator at the Penn State Arboretum. She told me that this year's Pumpkin Festival has been a success.
We have so many people visiting and enjoying the gardens. It's just wonderful to see so many people out and on such a beautiful weekend. It makes us all really, really happy.
And indeed, everyone did seem happy. I very much enjoyed seeing families young and old participating in this year's festivities. And with near-perfect weather, you could hardly argue that there wasn't a good excuse to stop by the Arboretum at least once during the two-day event. Edelson notes that we're in a good place geographically to host an event like the Pumpkin Festival.
We get ample rainfall, so we get about between 42 and 45 inches of rain a year. A lot of that will come during the spring season when pumpkin plants are beginning to get established, and then because our weather warms up in the summer, pumpkins will really size up well. So in Pennsylvania, a lot of folks who have diversified farms will incorporate pumpkins into their production.
Pumpkins, as you might guess, aren't the hardiest plants out there. Last year, excessive rainfall curbed the crop of pumpkins in advance of the festival. Edelson told me that just over half of the usual number of pumpkins was given out because so many had become diseased or had rotted. This year, however,
we actually had a great year for pumpkins this year. So good rain in the spring, and then it warmed up quite nicely in the summer, and then actually that dryness toward the end of the summer really helps the pumpkins kind of finish off and finish maturing in time for harvest.
Naturally, rain isn't the only thing that threatens our pumpkins. Edelson told me that all members of the cucurbit family, which includes pumpkins, squashes, and gourds, are most likely to suffer if there's a late frost, especially if the plants have already sprouted.
Other things that can have a negative impact are like hailstorms. The foliage on these plants is very, very large, and the hail can physically damage the leaves, which then sort of tattered foliage just doesn't photosynthesize as well. It also provides the opportunity for insects and then other types of disease pathogens to find inroads into the plant.
Some of the pests that threaten pumpkins include aphids, pickleworms, spotted and striped cucumber beetles, and perhaps the most annoying of them all,
the squash vine borer. And so this is an insect whose larva will actually bore into the vine of the plant and sort of start eating it from the inside out. And you'll look like you have a beautiful pumpkin plant, and then suddenly the whole thing will collapse and this larva has just eaten the tissue around the base of your vine. So that is the worst thing that can happen to you.
Making squash vine borers harder to catch early is the fact that their eggs, of which as many as 150 can be laid in a season, are less than a centimeter in diameter. Fortunately, a bit of preventative maintenance can go a long way in preventing these pests from ruining your crop. Organic sprays and thorough mulching are effective at curbing the growth of squash vine borers. The same advice goes for the whole cucurbit family, as the threats against those plants are similar. So as you can see, a lot has to go right to ensure that all 1,000 of the Arboretum's pumpkins are ready to be given away before the Pumpkin Festival. Thankfully this year, there were no significant rain events, there were no late frosts, and no swarms of pests threatened Pennsylvania's pumpkins. I think it's safe to say that this year's Arboretum Pumpkin Festival was a success, and I suddenly find myself wishing for some pumpkin pie. For Weather or Not, I'm Christopher Tate.
And now for your extended forecast. We're going to have an overall pleasant weather weekend. Temperatures being right around fall-like and a lot of sunshine. 53 for your high on Friday. It'll be a little bit cooler outside, below average for this time of year, but still a lot of sunshine in the area, partly cloudy skies. Saturday, there's more sunshine in the area, especially for our game day when you're stepping outside to tailgate. Temperatures are going to reach in the 60s. Remember, that's around 3 or 4 o'clock, so during the game, it's going to feel a little bit colder than that. And then Sunday, we're jumping up to 65 degrees, above average for this time of year. Some more sunshine to join along with it. Let's check out next week, though, in terms of what's happening in our weather. Monday, there's a slight chance of rain throughout the afternoon, maybe an isolated shower peeking through, but still some sunshine throughout the day. Tuesday, we're more likely to see some rain, maybe some scattered showers. Temperatures still above average for this time of year. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, partly cloudy skies, some more pleasant weather right around average for this time of year of 60 degrees and a lot more sunshine to join it. So that's something excited to hear, especially people that love that fall weather. No longer those really hot temperatures we had at the beginning of the month.
Yes, I did notice that green average line, though, is starting to go down, and so it is getting cooler, which personally I prefer the warmth, but it is that time of year and people are enjoying it.
Yes.
And
speaking of cooler temperatures, I saw frost the other day.
Ooh, man.
That makes me think of winter.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not ready for that. But speaking of frost, earlier in the show, we asked you the Weather Whiz Quiz question: what is the threshold for a frost advisory to be provided by the National Weather Service? Jordan, what do you think it is?
I think that it's right around 32 degrees.
32? Yeah, I was thinking that too, but then when we looked it up earlier, it wasn't A, it wasn't B, and it wasn't D. In fact, it is C. It's 36 degrees, which was actually a little bit surprising. I thought it would be closer to 32, like you said.
Yeah, because it's when it freezes.
Yeah, when you think of water freezing, you think of 32 degrees. So frost, frozen water on the grass, you would think, 32 degrees. But it's actually 36 because the ground is actually a little bit cooler than when we're measuring the temperature. So because we measure about 2 meters up, or about 6 feet, so we account for the fact that the ground itself might be a couple degrees cooler. So that's why it's 36 degrees.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't like how our temperatures are dropping that much.
No, we're probably going to see a lot more frost in the coming weeks, unfortunately. But the good news is we had the sunshine next week, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, and that's all the time we have for tonight's show. I'm your host, Mike Susko.
I'm your forecaster, Jenna.
Have a great night, everybody.